In this video, we're going to show you how to replace a fan motor on your G35 Infiniti. To drain the coolant, we're going to open up this little valve using a Phillips head screwdriver. I'm going to loosen it up. Make sure you have a drain bucket under you before you take this out. We don't need to drain the whole thing, just enough so that we can take the upper hose off without spilling coolant everywhere. Once you have a good amount of coolant drained out, we're going to replace that little plug. Put it back in. Then we're going to snug it down. We're going to disconnect two connectors to the fan assembly. This one right here, and then the one right above it, right here. You might be able to reach down through the top of the engine bay to get these. There's going to be a little button on each side. You're going to press it and pull out and disconnect the connector. For our purpose, our car is missing the splash shield on the bottom, so I'm going to reach up through the bottom and remove them. On the bottom connector, the tab is located right here. We're going to push on that tab and pull the connector out like that. On this connector, the button is located right here. Push that in and pull out. I was just using a little pry tool to help me push the button. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to undo the two bolts for the fan assembly. They're located at the two top corners. Remove those. Using a pair of pliers, we're going to pinch this upper hose clamp and pull it back. Then we're going to pull the upper hose off of the radiator. Just like that. I'm going to tuck it up and tuck it out of the way under this other hose. Also going to pull this line forward. Lift straight up on the fan assembly and remove it from the vehicle. Using an 8mm socket on an electric impact, we're going to remove the nut off the front of the fan. We're going to remove the blade assembly. Using a Phillips head, we're going to remove the 3 screws holding the motor to the fan shroud. Flip it over, remove the harness. Using a clip tool, I'm going to remove the clips out of the harness. And we're going to push the connector out. Then we can remove the fan motor. Remove the nut off the front spindle of the new motor. Flip it over. Install it into the shroud. You can cable tie this to a few places to make sure that this wire doesn't hang. They are not provided with the fan motor, but if you have them, it's not a bad idea. I'm going to put a hand on the back of the motor. flip it over. And we're going to start our 3 Phillips head screws. And snug them down. Grab the blade assembly. There is one flat spot on this blade assembly, and it's the same as on the shaft of the new motor. Make sure those two line up, and then we're going to snug this nut down. Install the fan assembly back into the car. There's 2 pegs on the bottom of the assembly, and they're going to drop into 2 brackets on the bottom. Just like that. Install the bolts for the fan assembly. Install the upper radiator hose onto the radiator. Slide the clamp back into place. Install the connectors for the fan motors. Push until you hear a click. Give it a little pull. Make sure it's really in there. If you took off the splash shield, reinstall that now. We don't have one on this car. Remove the radiator cap. I'm going to install a funnel to refill our coolant. Once the car stops bubbling, go ahead and start your car with the radiator cap off. Let it run for about 10 to 15 minutes and bleed the coolant. Once the coolant's bled, you can take the funnel off or just put the radiator cap back on. Once the coolant's bled, remove your funnel if you're using one, and reinstall the radiator cap.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.